What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Welcome to the RNews Evening Show. And let's just jump into it. From r/politics, Unqualified Impunity, Amy Coney Barrett once ruled that a cop wasn't responsible for a black teenager's death because breathing isn't a constitutional right. This must be some embellishment by the root. Let's see what the article says. The court accepted every fact of the case but determined that Wooten shouldn't even stand trial. They essentially ruled that Wooten was immune from the consequences of his actions because the only right they can assert would be the right of an out-of-breath arrestee to not have his hands cuffed behind his back after he complains of difficulty breathing. However, the judges woefully admitted that they could find no Seventh Circuit precedent clearly establishing such a right. What the frick? 42 minutes in his own crap asking for help. Edit. Hijacking my own comment. Get off your bus and vote. This must end. Pro-life. Law.justa.com in a suit under 42 U.S.C. 1983. The court concluded the officers were not entitled to qualified immunity. The Seventh Circuit reversed. There is no precedent clearly establishing that the officers violated any right of an out-of-breath arrestee to not have his hands cuffed behind his back after he complains of difficulty breathing. There was no evidence that the handcuffs were the cause of Day's breathing difficulty before the autopsy report. Qualified immunity is bullcrap. Endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Only applies if you're still inside the womb. Because choking a pup to death is what Jesus would do. You're watching the RNews show. From r/news. Juror in Breonna Taylor case said grand jury didn't agree fatal shooting was justified. I shouldn't be surprised and disgusted, but I sure freaking am. I had assumed that there was some technicality they were able to sneak this through on. Nope. Just good old-fashioned old boys club and bias. I grew up in Chi. I'm sure this is a story that can be repeated in many places, but yeah. Chi legal systems are 100% about the old boys club. I know of other police shootings which have had the investigation completely fricked up on purpose. Cops who don't give a frick about your rights. Cops who are complete liars. Suspects who have habits of running into poles. Though the old boys club is no longer just the boys. All of La are all in bed fricking each other. Literally. And this is why they protest, not even an attempt at justice. Those in support of evil like this deserve what they get. Remember when Pence said this at the debate? Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American lives, and the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system. A grand jury that reviews the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that in a panel grand jury, looking at all the evidence, got it all wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion. Senator. You're watching the RNews show. From r/politics. Enough about Hunter Biden. What about Ivanka Trump? Don't forget about Jared's billion-dollar bailout Kushner. Exactly. It's kept the spotlight off the 7 new Chinese trademarks that Ivanka has received, bringing her current total to 13. And let's also not forget about Jared Kushner, along with his Saudi BFF MBS, extorting Qatar for $500 mil to bail out the Kusher balloon payment on the 666 building. The audacity of the Republicans to point fingers is astounding. Yeah, using Hunter Biden to attack the Biden campaign has been the biggest smokescreen against anyone looking into the Trump kids in detail. You're watching the RNews show. From r/politics. U.S. Supreme Court sides with Democrats to allow Pennsylvania to count mailed ballots received up to 3 days after election. I like how allowing people's votes to count means siding with Democrats. Conservative Twitter is absolutely melting down over this decision and attacking Roberts. As if only liberals' ballots will arrive later than Election Day and Roberts is giving them special treatment. Very strange. It's almost if it's not about counting everyone's ballots. My state has been 100% mail-in voting for years, and the rule is that the ballots have to be postmarked by Election Day, so allowing ballots to come in up to 3 days later makes sense. Great win for voter rights and democracy. They sided with the law. What's important is that 4 of them weren't inclined to. There were 4 judges fully willing to disregard U.S. democracy and people's voices votes. 4. Pennsylvania doesn't let them count ballots prior to Election Day. What if there were too many to count? There were 4 U.S. Supreme Court justices who would rather watch democracy be laid to bed than to do the right thing. This is a gigantic blinking but warning sign. Democrats and Biden need to revisit all their plans based on this. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Fauci admits administration has restricted his media appearances. Says he's not surprised Trump got COVID. They've replaced him with Dr. Scott Atlas, a neuroradiologist, without meaningful experience in infectious diseases. Why? Because this guy, in direct contradiction to the CDC and the rest of Trump's advisors, continues to espouse nonsense such as his recently deleted tweet stating, "Masks work." No, Trump basically found a doctor that agrees with him rather than listen to actual experts. Where did Trump find this guy? Fox News. Atlas was a frequent guest on Fox News, where he pushed to reopen the country and espoused views that more closely align with Trump's opinions during the health crisis. 98 immunologists from Stanford signed a letter calling out Atlas' falsehoods and misrepresentations of science as it pertains to COVID-19. Atlas threatened to sue them. It's an easy job for anyone willing to kiss Trump's butt and lie repeatedly with no regard for public health, safety, or well-being. Do you ever think Trump supporters have brief moments of clarity where they think, "My God, I'm at odds with all of these journalists and scientists and educators and doctors and economists. It seems like I'm fighting with him about everything, even things I might have agreed with him about 4 years ago." Maybe the apprentice guy doesn't know more than all of these people about their fields of expertise. Maybe he's the one who actually doesn't know what he's talking about. Quote. No. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Ex-RNC Chair Michael Steele officially endorses Biden. The bottom line is that Donald Trump has been terrible for the Republican brand. If you're a Republican and you want your party to remain relevant, then you need to stop the bleeding. The best way to do that is to vote for Joe Biden in order to create a huge landslide that forces the Republican Party to rethink their direction. If you're okay with future primary candidates displaying naked racism, sexism, disdain for science, etc., by all means vote for Trump. But if you think that's a direction that will make the GOP a permanent minority party, let them know that you're not willing to vote for them until they change. Canon is just an extension of birtherism and the Tea Party. The Republicans are at risk of losing their party to this cult-like disinformation campaign. They should have drawn the line long ago, but they were greedy and thought they could leverage this grassroots delusion to gain more power. Instead, the delusion is controlling them. There will not be a canon in the 2024 election, because it will be rebranded into a new delusional cult that will again control the Republican Party. And again in 2028. Until the Republicans care about truth and justice instead of power, these movements will continue to control them. The bottom line is that Donald Trump has been terrible too on point for the Republican brand. Trump epitomizes being a Republican. They're literally, frick you, got mine, narcissists who don't give a single frick about anyone or anything but their own personal A. fortune or B. ideology. He's the personification of Republican. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like, and if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.